KXLY4 Make It Count election coverage tonight, continuing our series of candidate interviews. With us now is the Democratic Congressional candidate for the 5th District here in Washington, Dr. Mark Mays. We appreciate your time.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
You're running in a district that has been trending Democrat in a very good political year for the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Top of the question, first of all, can you knock off Cathy McMorris Rodgers?
I guess we're waiting to all find that out come November 4th. I think so many things depend upon what's happening with the economy, what happens with being able to get one's message out. There's a lot of things up in the air about that. Who's heard of Sarah Palin? How many people, a month and a half ago?
Right.
Very changeable time. It's possible. It certainly is.
Your number one disagreement you have with the Congresswoman?
I think the number one disagreement I have with her is the fact that I think we need to have flexible approaches to complicated problems. And her approach seems to have been pretty singularly minimize the role of government, no matter what. I think we've seen the downfall of that with the lack of regulation with financial matters. And no matter what happens, we need to promote commerce and reduce taxes. And I think we need to look at taxes being reduced for the middle class. We need to be more sophisticated in terms of how we do that. Because I think we're losing a middle class, we're losing a working class population. I think that's dangerous for us all because we need people there to work hard and do things and buy things.
What's your number one priority?
Jobs. I think we need jobs in the area, we need jobs in the country. We're losing a lot of jobs. Our economy's not in good shape. We talk about Wall Street with the economy. Well, it's actually all of us. It's whether we have jobs, whether we're able to keep the things we have and do the things we enjoy, and that comes down to jobs.
Would you have voted for this bailout package? Because she did not.
I think the bailout package was a horrible package. I think it's terribly unfair that the American taxpayers were faced with such a burden to bear. Some people say, well, sometimes bills have warts. This one was mostly warts. Yet I still would have voted for it. Because sometimes we have to do very bad things with our decisions to avoid things that are even worse. And the best financial minds were telling us that we had to do this, much like putting a tourniquet on somebody to get them to the emergency room. Certainly not a solution, but I would have voted for it as a stopgap measure to give us time to figure out what's better. As
far as the 5th District, is jobs our number one concern over here?
Is for me, yes. I think it is for all of us once we think about it, yes.
Okay. I want to ask you a series of questions now. These are the yes or no's.
Sure.
You're welcome to expand just a little bit, but we're going to rapid fire
Time is not our friend, I understand.
With McMorris Rodgers. Will you go so far as to cut funding to bring an end to the war?
No, I think we need to look at that more deliberately and strategically, but I want very much to bring an end to the war.
Is the war on terror a bumper sticker slogan like some people have said?
Yes, I think we need to look at safety as being more broad-based than merely radical Islamics.
Would you commit tonight to never to vote to raise taxes?
No. I think we have a $9.5 trillion debt. That's a lot of money, and I think we need to look at raising taxes perhaps for some parts of the population while reducing it for others. If you make over $250,000, I'll probably vote to raise your taxes.
Do you support a universal health care system?
Eventually, yes, I do. I think we need to move gradually towards that, but I do. It's the only system that can be efficient and save us all money.
Do you think government should regulate Wall Street a little bit more?
Yes.
Yeah.
But not too much. I think a danger is that we over-regulate in response to our concerns and the crisis that we're in. We need to maintain the free market system and the energy and zest and zeal of the capitalistic enterprise, but still have some sidebars to it.
Defense spending, should it be reduced?
I think it should be spent in a more sophisticated and thoughtful way. I think we don't want to spend a lot of money fighting wars of the past, but I think we need to look strategically down the road. So yes, I think it needs to be reduced.
Do you think global warming is man-made?
Yes, in large measure, yes.
Would you vote to legalize gay marriage in all 50 states?
I think that's a state issue, so I could sidestep it. But I think eventually, yes, I think we need to look at what that means in terms of people's rights. I think it's best to move in steps towards major social change. I think the way that Washington State has done it with domestic partners has been a wise way to proceed. Okay. I would not be opposed to that, but I would not favor that either.
Will the district and Congress be worse off with another term with Congressman McMorris Rodgers in it?
Well, I believe so. Not that she's a bad person, a very nice person, but I think we've seen how the economic philosophies that she advocates, we've seen how the social policies that she advocates haven't helped us. And I think we need a very different approach and a very fresh approach. And our district's not better off than it was 4 years ago when she got elected.
Dr. Mark Mays, appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you.
Democratic candidate for the 5th District here in Washington.
That's me.
Thank you. So, what will Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rodgers have to say to some of these questions? We'll continue our series of interviews with McMorris Rodgers tomorrow night on KXLY4 HD News at 6:30.